All right. Hello, Tracy King. We are started. For those that don't know, my name is Aaron Wellock, founder and president of EventGuard.
And I'm Tracy King, Chief Learning Strategist and founder of Inspired Ed. And we're here today to talk to you a little bit about our new ebook, Engaging Learners. This project was really born out of a few pain points that we've noticed in the industry and talking with colleagues and talking with clients and peers. And, the first one is really this disconnect that we feel between desiring having engaging programming and knowing how to get there. What steps do we have to take? And then also that frustration that we feel because we've assigned so much of the responsibility for program development to our speakers and to our SMEs that, we have to consider ways that we can work with them better and more effectively in order to facilitate true engagement in our programs. And then, something that was born out of our research was that there's really a lot of confusion about what learning engagement actually is. And if we don't know what it is, how can we make it happen? And also around this was kind of a funny story that just kind of poked us and inspired us to go down this pathway together.
Well, it's funny. I think that we hear this term learner engagement all of the time. And that certainly was our experience a couple of years ago. Tracy and I were in the background education session, sort of patiently minding our own business, participating in what we thought was going to be a really awesome program around learning engagement. And the speaker's core responsibility was to not only define learning engagement, but to also provide us with some unique strategies to help us incorporate it within our own educational programs. And for that very reason, I think we took a very keen interest in the program. I think it was probably midway through, if not sooner, that we kind of looked at each other, kind of smacked each other on the shoulder and said, is this really what learning engagement is? I think that we didn't feel a strong connection with both the definition, but also in some of the strategies that were shared. And so I think that prompted us to do something about it. I don't think that we're people who just kind of sit idly by. And so that research included a variety of steps. I think we developed a number of questions that we launched as an industry survey. And we also had a number of thought leader interviews where we interviewed folks kind of two-on-one, asking them a series of pretty similar questions as well. And as a result of all of that research, we compiled all of that information, threw in a really kick-ass analogy, as well as a couple of key characters, and crafted a 40-page ebook that I think you're going to tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, it's really a robust resource. And on top of our industry research, we did a literature review as well and bring forward the best ideas of what learning engagement is and crafting a definition that's really important for our industry, specifically what we do. And so in the ebook, you'll find that definition. You'll find a lot of background about what learning engagement is, how to trigger learning engagement, and not just theory, do not worry. Do not be afraid. We also put together some learning design pro moves that include, the tactic, a tip for making that happen, and also some traps to avoid when implementing those in sessions. And we also put together a quick start guide with 10 steps for, digging in, making it happen, where to start if this feels overwhelming to you at your association.
Yeah, absolutely. And, not to fear. I think 10 steps can be a little scary. There are something like 12 or 13 tactics with traps and tips. And I think you're exactly right. Do not be afraid. I think that if nothing else, download the ebook, take a look and share it with folks in your office, share it with your speakers, and share it with other subject matter experts. I think that in your sort of teaser about the ebook just now, you mentioned our new definition of learning engagement. And so as not to tease anyone any further, I thought I might share with everyone today at least those sort of three components of what that looks like, at least for us. And I think that really starts with active partnership. One of, I think, the funniest lines in the ebook is you can't do learning to learners, right? That really there needs to be some sort of partnership between the learner and the speaker or the facilitator. And so certainly that is one component. The second is really this idea around personalization, that the content in and of itself isn't necessarily interesting, that in order to be interesting or in order for learners to be interested, they need to have some sort of connection with the content. And so personalizing it so that they can process it within their own context is an important part of that puzzle as well. And finally, this idea of application and behavior change, that simple exposure to content isn't enough, but the idea of bringing content back to the workplace, applying it to real life workplace challenges, and changing behavior over time is really the third and perhaps the most important component of learning engagement. So I guess without further ado, that's kind of our new definition. There's lots more of it and lots more information around it in the ebook, as well as how to do it. But I think if nothing else, start the conversation, jumpstart that conversation within your organization, share the ebook with your staff, with your speakers, and with anyone else who's really charged with learning engagement within your organization. With that, Tracy, anything else, any other tips or tricks or words of advice as we usher into 2018?
I have to say this is a really important conversation. And while we've been trying to put some words around it, now there's a definition and there's a direction. So let's have a conversation about this. Reach out to us. We'd love to talk with you about it. And let's really take some big strides toward elevating our programs so that they're engaging for our learners.
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy, and thanks to all of you for watching. Happy 2018.